Hello, everyone. Okay, this is a big deal. I've never done this before, but I wanted to give you guys August astrology through the means of video. I've never done it this way, and I'm trying to get a little bit more comfortable and into it. So I've got my notes here, and we're going to talk about August 22 astrology, 2022 astrology. I'm going to, oh shoot, I thought I could share my screen so I could show you guys. Oh, I can. Okay, there we go. All right, so as you can see here, this is the transit starting off on August 1st. So I'm sure many of you have read, you maybe have listened to, you've maybe, done your own research as to what you've been seeing astrologers say August 1st, and really even today, like I'm recording this on July 31st, are going to be kind of wild ass days. And the reason for this is because, as you can see, we have Uranus, North Node, and Mars all conjunct here in the sign of Taurus. So Mars conjunct Uranus is the kind of energy that is explosive. When we're talking about Mars, which Mars is a major player over the course of the month of August. It really is, because on one hand, we're dealing with Mars and its detriment moving through Taurus. And then on the 20th, we're going to immediately go into Mars and Gemini, where Mars and Gemini is going to color the rest of this year into a part of next year. So now we're really looking at things and we're like, oh my gosh, actions are coming quick. And that's what August is going to be. Mars is unpredictable, and not even so much unpredictable as Uranus is, but with Mars energy, it's on go. So unpredictability is at the forefront of this month. Just incidents, accidents, surprises, reversals, aggravations, like all sorts of things that aren't necessarily in plan can go off. So if you're watching this and you're kind of like, you're not a person who necessarily plans their month ahead, I know we're at the 31st, but I would suggest that you do take the time to start getting together exactly what you think you want this month to look like, because it is going to be chaotic and unpredictable in many ways, but you still can do a lot of work to try and make plans and get things as steady as possible, like cleaning your home, reorganizing if you can, releasing any clutter, getting things out is really going to be important as we head into August, because the more clarity you have surrounding you, the easier it will be to navigate these times that are going to be all over the place. Another thing to remember is, just because maybe you're not affected per se, personally, you will be affected by some of these events because you are here on Earth as they're happening. This energy is very highly collective. It's not, and some of it, again, it's not necessarily you're going to be experiencing the direct blow, but you could just be getting like, oh man, okay, this is happening to the person around me and this is influencing me. It's like I was saying, it's like what happens when, the neighbor next door is has a plumbing problem. It doesn't affect your plumbing, right? But the smell will start to affect your plumbing if it's coming up through the grass because the septic tank is fucked up. That's the kind of energy that can happen. Now, with Mars and Uranus in Taurus, the thing to remember, Mars is in detriment in Taurus because Taurus is a sign that's ruled by Venus. When we think Taurus, we think ease, relaxation, abundance, resources, security. And when it meets up with Uranus, the planet of random shit, of detachment, spontaneity, freedom, shifts, tech, those two planets have such an issue together because it is unpredictable. Venus, and especially the sign of Taurus, is predictable. It likes dependability in the way that it presents itself, because dependability is sustainability. Uranus and Uranian properties, when placed in the sign of Taurus, feel like they aren't going to last, which means that they feel even heightened in their even more heightened in their instability. So what we're going to be experiencing at the top of this month, which we're already seeing, I've been keeping my eye, and this is something I've been saying since probably the end of 2019. As Uranus moves through Taurus, as the North Node and the South Node go through Taurus and Scorpio, while Saturn is moving through Aquarius, money is going to be a forefront. Something I've been telling a lot of people I know is, if you're not a person who, maybe you invested in Bitcoin, maybe you invested in crypto, maybe you have money in through electronic banking and all these other type of things, there is a high possibility that money can be funny. Don't keep money in PayPal. Don't keep money in Venmo. Like, make sure that you're having a place that you can kind of transfer your money through, because these apps are not reliable and it's going to become heightened. And there could be situations with Uranus and Taurus which do not allow people to get money from out of the bank. This is something that I saw that happened a few weeks ago. I want to say this happened when the moon squared a new initial Mars entering Taurus. It brought about nobody in Canada, and I know they have a large Canadian banking system, nobody in Canada could touch their banking. And people in America are like, well, we have several banking systems. Yeah, but if Chase decides to say, oh, nobody can touch their money, a lot of people are going to be fucked up by that, right? So you should be thinking about how that's affecting you. Another thing to think about is food. It's been put on my heart personally that I don't need to eat any meat in August. And that's just for me. But the food is going to start getting weird. Remember, August is low key when the farmers start taking tally of what they're going to have during harvest season. It's been a pretty poor harvest season for the plains. Another aspect of Uranus and Taurus. The Earth is doing something totally different, and we're being affected by it because we are sustained by the Earth. So because of our lack of sustainability here, we are going to be starting to really see the consequences. This is going to be especially important when we get to November and October, and we kind of have the energy of the eclipse season start triggering some of these points again. When is October? Straight up fall. When we're really thinking about harvesting, when we're thinking about Thanksgiving, what kind of food do we have to eat? Where are we going to be getting it from? So this is something that I want you guys to be really thinking about. Now, with regard to personal resources and just personal things, with Mars and Taurus, there can be a level of explosivity that exists. This is because Mars and Taurus, being so dependable and enduring, is known to be able to put up with way too much shit, and then all of a sudden the shit starts raining down and you're in fuck city USA, right? Literally, that is Mars and Taurus. So you could be, and the people around you could be experiencing an onset of anger that you did not necessarily know existed. You're like, oh shit, I'm mad about that. Man, that thing really affected me. I'm kind of pissed. And so you're going to need to know how to channel this energy, ideally through grounding measures, right? What are the things that you can do to create a little bit more ease for yourself? What are the things that you can do to bring about a little bit more pleasure for yourself? Try not to overeat. This is a terrible transit for overeating. You might feel, if you're a nervous eater, find something else to do, especially here on the 1st. So I want to be clear about like what Mars and Uranus are doing. It's going to be crazy. Another thing that I've foreseen with this energy is the potential for massive disasters at one time. So there's an earthquake over here, there's a hurricane building down there, there's a, a tsunami somewhere, like all of these things happening, not to mention the energetic power grids, which seem to be having a huge issue right now, starting to be a problem as we move through this time. So if hopefully you have candles and things that you can keep around your house, if you are dealing with energy issues, just something to think about in the meantime. Now, moving on. So yeah, this is going to color a lot of this month in the first 2 weeks. Mars is faster moving, obviously, than Uranus and the North Node. Both of these are going to be kind of conjunct for a time. And this is a time where, you're going to be thinking about what is sustainable. It could be that you're breaking away from what you've been dependent on, from what has been dependent on you. But this is a lot of shifts and changes that are going to be coming into play. It is also important to note that this is going to likely deal with the areas of your chart that are heavily fixed. So look to the points in your chart that have Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio energy. What is this going to mean? The chart for this time I'm using, as you can see, has it between the 3rd and the 9th house. So it could be feeling like, am I stuck in a pattern, or you really, really feel like you're ready to move towards finding a new sense of liberation or independence or ideas about your future and experiences. And, but you're kind of caught in the throes of what you can do in your everyday life here with that 3rd house, and the short-term goals that are going to build up the habits that are going to be sustainable for you as you move forward, which means you're going to need to let some things go, right, in order to get you through the motions. So something to think about there. Where do I want to go to next? Yeah. I think I'm going to skip to the 11th. Here we go. Actually, okay, we're going to start here. I wanted to talk about Mars in Taurus squaring Saturn in Aquarius. This is going to be a really tough aspect. This is why I'm saying like the first 2 weeks of the month are very Martian. Now, I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mars and Saturn do not like each other. Literally think about who rules what rules Mars, like, right? Mars, Aries, Mars, Scorpio, right? And what rules Saturn? Capricorn and Aquarius. I always say that like Aries energy especially is like the baby or the angsty teenager. And Saturn in Capricorn or Saturn in Aquarius has that daddy ass energy. So Mars square Saturn in 2 fixed signs is really about a battle of will. And unfortunately, because both of these signs are fixed, it's about stubbornness. Here on August 8th, there could be something that comes to the forefront on a collective level or even on a personal level of where your stubbornness has kept you stuck. And in this place, you're going to feel a lot of frustration and you're probably going to be forced to deal with it. It's like, at this point, it's one of those things where Mars square Saturn, it's like a severance. It's like, at this point, we can no longer be in contract. It's a contentious battle. Saturn is limits and blocks, and Mars wants to move forward. It wants to make motion. And Mars in Taurus wants what it wants no matter what, especially when it's coming into conjunction with the North Node. Something that we're being mindful of. The North Node is not just about the future, it's about the focus, right? So if I'm thinking about, and my primary focus is what I can have and how I can acquire more and it's greedy, right? So you might get stomped by your level of greed due to Saturn here in Aquarius. It's like, damn, you are being greedy, or damn, you are doing the wrong thing in your approach to this, because Saturn is going to dominate the situation. Even though Mars is going to put up a great fight, Saturn is going to win the battle. And so what does that mean? Thinking about the areas of your chart that are going to be overcome by this, In this case, Saturn is here in the 5th house. So it's been a hard time. And I know I've been talking to so many Libra risings. My heart goes out to you. Saturn in the 5th is such a difficult transit to have, because it's been like all of the joy that they've wanted to experience and things that they know that they love has felt a little stifled by some of the circumstances that are coming in. And this is exactly that. 8th house is resources, things we share outside of ourselves. It could be like, oh man, I really want to do this thing, have experienced this pleasure, which is that 5th house thing, but financially I can't really do it. I don't have money on my credit card to like foster these Rolling Loud New York tickets, right? Like, even though that's what I really want to do. Or, I really like this person, but this relationship isn't really working out for me because they don't really understand me enough. Maybe because Saturn is in Aquarius, right? Maybe I don't understand me enough. I'm coming into new awareness of the things that I like sexually, romantically, also psychologically, what triggers me from my childhood. So there's a lot of themes here that are going to be coming up that are going to create some real harshness. And the thing is, you're going to have to push through them. Saturn does not let you be lazy and cower out of the shit. It doesn't really give a fuck that it's too hard for you. You still have to do it. And what that means is probably holding the mirror up to yourself and saying, what am I doing? What have I been doing? And how has it been working for the best of my abilities and my needs at any given time? So a tough transit, guys, truly. Let me move this over. What else do I want to talk about? There we go. The 10th. As you can see, we have the sun in Leo making a square to Uranus in the North Node in Taurus. Okay, so Uranus square sun. This is a random set of events. Usually when Uranus and the sun come together, I like it. It's your eureka moment. It is, wow, I think I'm ready to identify, right, the sun with something new, something different, something that's going to set me free, Uranus, and it's going to be great. I'm moving forward. And there could be tension between what I have previously identified with being the sun, who I thought myself to be and what I thought myself to stand up on, and now what I am believing or being called to kind of do because of this North Node and this Uranus and Taurus transit. So something that I think you should be thinking about is, where am I maybe not allowing my light to shine in a way that is most natural and authentic for me because I'm being stubborn and kind of caught in what I know? It could be that you're making things that doing and making that Uranian change can make things easier for you and meet both of your needs. What I'm seeing this as, we'll use this example perfectly right here. We've got the 8th house again with Uranus and Taurus. Dealing with matters of money, right? Dealing with matters of finances. We're talking about shifts and changes with resources, reversals. Oh, I had this thing, now I've lost this thing. All sorts of craziness, shifts in the way that you see yourself, especially with regard to generational traumas and ideas. And it's squaring off with this 11th house, where the sun is, where your networks are, where what you identify with is your community, where what your dreams, goals, and aspirations are. This question is, am I blocking myself because I'm so fearful, because Uranus and Taurus is showing me that maybe the things that I had originally planned aren't working out because my dreams, goals, and ideas have changed? Am I blocking myself because of those fears? Am I choosing to pretend that I no longer identify with this new thing because the old thing feels a little bit more natural to me? And what might that do to me and what my identity means to me by doing so? Now, collectively, Sun square Uranus, I see this as being a big problem with money and maybe the market. I don't know a whole lot about the stock market and things of that nature, but there's this weird kind of It feels like this is a really big news headline kind of deal. If it has to do with food, if it has to do with money, but it affects large groups of people. It could even be that people are coming for large systems. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if we dealt with, because of some of the things that could pop off this month, if we were dealing with a lot of protests and outrage on a really massive scale. Something for us to think about. Now let's move as we see. Oops. Oh no, I don't want to stop it. Sorry, y'all. Ah! Okay, sorry. Let me move this stupid bar. That's part of the problem. There we go. So we already been through the 10th. Oops. Okay. So I wanted to show us, let's start off the moon in Aquarius. So this full moon, as you can see, is kind of sort of starting here. The full moon is going to be happening on the 11th into and on the 12th. So this is a big, kind of a big one. Obviously, we're going to have sun opposite moon, sun opposite Saturn. Shoot, I need to show the exact time. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get this. Oh, shoot. Okay, let's just move on. Anyway, this full moon. So I really want you to think about this full moon as a period for you to be really in consideration of what has taken place for you over the last 2 years since Saturn has gone into Aquarius. This is our last offset with the Leo sun and the Saturn Aquarius, opposition. And as we get closer to it, which will be in a few days after this, I think we're going to all be getting a culmination of what some of this Saturn and Aquarius story has been for us. And this is the time where you do need to be thinking, okay, what has this Saturn and Aquarius transit been all about for me? What has changed for me since March 2020, when Saturn initially went into Aquarius? I hope that was it. I can't remember right now. But thinking back from March 2020 to now, what are the changes that your life has gone through? What has shifted for you in the houses that are fixed, but especially the houses that are ruled by Aquarius and Leo? This is low key, and it's not like it's the final kind of shot for you to hopefully see the big picture of the lesson. If you feel like you've been missing it, or if you have been missing it, now you're going to see it for what it is, and you can move forward. You see this opposition building here? And oppositions don't mean we need to either be one way or the other. They mean that we need to blend the energy in order to work for us. 5th and 11th house. You really like a thing, but maybe you're intimidated by the need to perform in order to do the thing. Who said you had to perform to do the thing? Maybe you can do the thing and be yourself. And maybe this will still shine your light, and probably shine your light infinitely more than you would allow it to, because you're afraid of taking the step. That 5th and 11th house. You got big dreams and big goals, but you're staying stuck in this cycle of fear and not necessarily allowing your light to shine. You want to be different. You want to be outcasted. You're not here to do that. Something to think about for all of us. Now let's move into the the opposition between the sun and Saturn. Here we go. August 14th. Sun opposite Saturn. What the fuck you gonna do now? This is tense, y'all. Collectively, this feels like political figurehead things, big changes that affect a lot of us, especially when you look at the way this energy is kind of coming in. Ooh, I won't say what I feel, but this does look like a major collective event. It actually feels like it could have to do with the United States here that comes in. But whenever we have the sun opposite Saturn, it's a battle. Sun opposite Saturn is hard because on one hand, the sun is striving, right? It's wanting to identify, it's wanting to create, it's wanting to perform, it's wanting to do its best. And Saturn is putting blocks up, or it's telling it no, it's not allowing it to be what it wants to be, move how it wants to move, and do what it wants to do. As a result, Saturn will start to, or the sun starts to feel resentful, or it stops shining. Like, right? It starts to feel squelched, starts to feel like it can't exist as its most authentic self because the limits of Saturn, the responsibility, the duty, the lessons feel like a little too much. Now, on the other hand, the sun can be saying, I don't care about your limits. I don't care about your duties. I don't care about none of that shit. I'm going to do exactly what I want to do because it's what I want to do and how I want to do it. And Saturn says, yeah, no way. It's a fight. You're going to have to choose how you want to approach this in your own life. It might even be that you act as Saturn in your life because you're limiting yourself from shining. Oh, isn't it hard when it's not just Saturn's fault? Yeah. Okay. So something to think about there. Because Saturn and Aquarius, like Leo and Aquarius energy are so similar. They're so fucking similar. And if you know people who have Leo and Aquarius energy in abundance in their chart, I know one of my great friends, Anna, me and Anna actually have almost the exact same chart. She was born a couple years before me, so her Jupiter placement are just a little different, but like everything else, we're pretty much the exact same. And she has an abundance of Aquarian and Leo energy in her chart, and it's just, she is a badass. And that's what it is. You can be a badass, but something I tweeted earlier this weekend, I was like, if you're not doing what you want to do, if you're not doing what you like to do, you are not going to have fun and reap the rewards of Saturn and Aquarius. Saturn and Aquarius is an individual. It doesn't work for performance sake. And you've got to question, who are you performing for? Am I performing for myself? Or am I performing for the world, for the groups and the communities that I want to be associated with? I said this recently. I've talked to people who have done like readings on like, what do I need to do? And it's like, all right, well, what you need to do is what feels natural to you, not try and do what you think, is going to get you viral on TikTok. It's not fucking authentic. And Saturn and Aquarius demands authenticity. Leo sun demands authenticity, but it can be taken away by the light because people are looking at them for doing something that is inauthentic, that it becomes inauthentic. That's not what you want unless it is. So, want to move away from that. As you can see at this time as well, just I'm looking over aspects, Mars is making a really nice trine to Pluto in Capricorn. So on one hand, On a personal note, this can be very good for people who are seeking financial success. You know, this is good for signing contracts, getting, you know, your money's worth. You know, Saturn, or excuse me, Capricorn and Taurus energy are about that bread. It's the materialization of the things that we work for. So this is a great for some of you. Now, collectively, Mars trine Pluto could be, it's almost like a speeding up of like a system or what's underground. This is something else, like, I want us to be thoughtful about the fact that the industry is not giving us an abundance of food right now, and what that could mean for the food industry moving forward. There's an interesting show, maybe you guys, okay, yeah, that's what it's called. Maybe you guys have seen it. It didn't last very long because I think it was just a little bit out of its time, but it was called Better Off Ted. And in this show, this man is a marketing person, and he works for a science company, which essentially is like they genetically modify and engineer food. And in this genetic engineering and modification of food, he is tasked with coming up with the lies to make people believe that the food is good and that it's natural and it won't harm you, even though it was created in a lab and it's filled with shit. He's also battling this while trying to raise a daughter to be an honest, good character, well-functioning citizen in society. So all of this is happening, and you're like, wow, how do we balance? That's what Mars trine Pluto is. I want you to be thoughtful about what organizations are willing to do to keep you dependent on them in a way that you do need to be dependent on them, which is with food. Be thoughtful about how the language could be changing. Because remember, people were saying earlier this year, we were going to have this food shortage, there was going to be problems with the food, and then they kind of stopped talking about it. But the reality is the corn is not corning. So this is going to change the way that the food we eat is going to be coming into impact. And that's why I think I'm being guided towards not eating meat. I mean, right? Think about it. If there's not enough sustainability for cows, for livestock of all kind, poultry of all kind, right? What does it mean they're going to be being fed and given to sustain themselves that is then going to be given to me and expected for me to sustain myself with thereafter? So this is also a good time for buying things up. Buy your preservatives now. Like if you got tunas and your oils and all that stuff, because things are going to change with the food system. That's what I see with Mars trine Pluto on a collective level, unfortunately. Now, this might not be something that is big and it's like national headlines or anything, but it is something that is going to kind of start the process off. What else do I want to say about Mars trine Pluto? I think I'm good. I think I've said everything I can say there. Let's move on. I know I'm talking about Mars a lot, but it's important. I guess I totally forgot to mention like Mercury going into Virgo. Mercury going into Virgo, this is going to happen. I think this comes in on the 3rd. And this is going to be good. Mercury is comfortable when it's placed in the sign of Virgo, right? This is a well-functioning Mercury. And this is because, generally speaking, Mercury in Leo is in detriment. Why? Because Mercury in Leo just wants to talk about itself. It wants to talk about what it identifies with. It wants to perform. Look at me, look at me. Mercury in Virgo wants to take details. It wants to assemble things. It wants to understand things. It wants to communicate things. So it's going to be a pretty decent transit on that behalf. I mean, I can't really say enough about Mercury in Virgo. It's all pretty good until we get kind of to the middle of the month. Obviously, as we transfer into the sun in Virgo, that's when things are going to get a little bit different, but it's going to be good. Also, Now, when did that happen? Venus going into Leo. I think the 11th Venus goes into Leo. I'm sorry, I didn't write that down properly. Venus will go into Leo, and this is another place I personally love Venus and Leo. It's really, really great for bravado, love, lust, gifting. They are the big spoilers of the zodiac. They want to make sure that their love has everything, but they expect the damn same things back, and they deserve it because Venus and Leos go above and beyond for whatever it is that they have and that they want. So that is something that you should think about. Think about how you can give more to yourself, even with Venus and Leo. And it doesn't have to come from a space of self-centeredness so much as it's like thinking about how much you have outsourced and how much you maybe give to other people. Where do you come up on what you give to yourself in the midst of that? So that's something that we can kind of be in consideration of too. Let's fast forward to get this sun. Let's talk about Mars entering Gemini first. Mars enters Gemini on the 20th. So this is an important transit, guys. Mars is going to be in Gemini for fucking ever. I think it really doesn't leave until like February or March of 2023. So your Gemini planets, and frankly, all of your mutable planets, you know, if you're a Sagittarius, if you're a Virgo, if you're Pisces, you're going to be impacted throughout the course of this Mars and Gemini transit. So it's important for you to think about, you know, with Mars and Gemini. So number one, Mars and Gemini is pop off. I always say this, Mars and Gemini, I believe is exactly what Wendy Williams has in her natal chart. Mars in Gemini is all about popping off. It is quick with the details, quick with the words, quick with the whoop, 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 quick on his toes so it don't get caught up with you hoes. Straight up energy. Literally, if like Mars in Gemini, and it's chaotic, it will take it too far because it will let its verbose nature just kind of run off at the mouth and it will not stop. That is the nature of Mars and Gemini. Words can cut, words can release us. Be mindful of the words that you're speaking and the things that you're saying to people over the course of the entirety of this transit, especially as it does begin to square off with the Virgo energy, but definitely with the Piscean ass, crybaby ass, no, I'm just kidding, but with the Pisces energy too. We want to make sure that we're being clear without being clear cut. You don't need to hurt people to get your point across. Now, this is also going to be a time where energy is going to be moving really fast. It is a transit where accidents, especially through the means of like motor vehicles, are going to happen. Be mindful on the roads as Mars goes into Gemini and throughout the course of the next 8 months. People are easily distracted. People are just driving too fast because they're excited or their mind is in a million different places. You're going to need to really find a way to channel this energy because Mars and Gemini can make you overstimulated. This is going to be through activities, definitely things that use your hands, definitely a good time to start up new workout routines. If you've been wanting to take the kickboxing class, this is the time to do it. Gemini energy does give you that extra push. However, again, mind overstimulation. So this is a time where you might want to be thinking about how you can reconfigure the way that you interact with apps and tech. Just because Mars and Gemini is going to be pumping out a lot of information a lot of the time, and you can easily get caught up in the swirl and not necessarily know how to break yourself away from it. Making sure that you're taking time to think and interface with your thoughts instead of the thoughts of other people, because there is a possibility that people could be more argumentative. They're thinking more closely about the way that they are, they're of two minds about things, or they expect you to mirror their thought processes on things. And so people can be a little bit defensive as a result of that. Just something for you to kind of be considering, as that Mars and Gemini transit starts. It's going to be a really long one. So think about it. Wait, here we go. So we've got the sun officially entered the sign of Virgo. I think this actually happens late, like, or early morning, like the 22nd into the 23rd. But with the sun going into Virgo, we're now kind of done focusing on our, like, ourselves, our needs. We're now thinking a little bit more practically than when we have the sun placed in the sign of Leo, right? We're thinking about the details. We're thinking about how we're going to put the pieces together that we say we identify with. This is just something to think about, right? All of the planets and the planetary shifts are here to build on each other. Something you learned about yourself while the sun was in Leo is being asked to be built upon so you can further it with progress with the sun in Virgo. Great, you now know that you identify as being the baddest bitch. How are you going to accumulate the potential to show that you are the baddest bitch, right? How are you going to bring the details together? Well, if I'm going to be the baddest bitch, I need to always have my nails done. I need to always have my lashes done. I need to always have my hair done. Like, I mean, that's a really ridiculous, I'm sorry. That's a really ridiculous way to think about it. But I want you guys to think twice before you kind of move forward, you know, about like what you learned about Leo season and how you're going to build on it in your life, in your chart, right? Wherever this energy was, it showed you whatever you needed to see, you needed to move it, and now you're moving into a new direction. Do be mindful that the first few days of Virgo season are going to be a little bit just because we're dealing with the square between Gemini and Virgo. This is again overstimulation, trying to do too much, maybe being a busybody. Write down a list of things that you have to do so you can stay on track and you don't allow yourself to get too bogged down and too all over the place because you feel like you can kind of like, this is energy. It's like, you know how you like, oh, I'm going to go in the kitchen and I'm going to reorganize the fridge. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to go into the room, and then you're in your bathroom reorganizing your makeup brushes. And you're like, wait, what the fuck? I was in the kitchen reorganizing my fridge. Like, that's the energy with that kind of square to Gemini. So just be intentional about where you place your attention during that time. Anything I want to say, I guess, when the new moon comes. New moon. So we'll have like the 27th when the new moon in Virgo will be. This is going to be really good for setting some new ideas surrounding how we go about making plans and following through. It has a lot of potential to be helpful towards filling in some of the minor details, maybe letting your curiosity peak and take you on a little bit of a journey about what you are seeking to accomplish. It can be really good, you know, as far as this new moon is concerned. Now, it is still dealing with that square with Saturn. This could take you back to earlier in this month when the sun was opposite Saturn. This is not going to be official, obviously, until the 27th or the 28th. But it could take you back to when we were dealing with sun opposite Saturn. So this is, again, how can I fulfill myself and my needs and not block myself? How am I allowing my needs maybe to block me? These are some things that are asking for shifts and changes. So do be aware of that. I think that does it for really all I wanted to say. Oh, I forgot to mention Mercury and Libra, sorry. So Mercury will go into Libra technically on the 26th. Now, the thing to remember with Mercury and Libra is it does do well, but it can sometimes be overly dependent on the thoughts and ideas of not so much other people, but of who they're surrounding themselves with. Sometimes they can take on and mirror them. It's important to remember that your thoughts are your own and that it's okay if they're maybe different from the people who you even feel like you share community with. It's a good time for doing research. Mercury in Libra loves research. It's a wonderful time, you know, as Mercury goes into Libra to Think about how you can balance out your life in a better way, how you can balance out your relationships, maybe talking about ways to better balance your relationships. Even contacting people who you have shared community with. If you're seeking a certain thing out of them, it would be a good time to send that, hey, remember me email, so to speak. People also might just be thinking more about love and relationships. The thing with this Mercury in Libra is it is going to be going retrograde as we head into September. So think about, like, don't move too fast on this Mercury and Libra energy, because it very well could shift in a major way before we get to the end of the month. So that's what I've got for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm going to get better as time goes on. I'd love to do more of them. Thank you guys for being here. Leave any questions, comments you have down below. I'll talk to you soon.